It's coming to start like this, that we come to Satsang for a very strange and astounding reason. We may come actually for different reasons: to find peace, to be joyful, to find love, all of these things. But what we discover in Satsang is something quite astounding. And that astounding is that besides this realm of the senses, besides these objects that are perceivable, whether we, we perceive them seemingly outside the body or seemingly inside the body in the form of thoughts, imagination, all of these things. But besides all of this, in reality, there is the possibility of meeting God, reaching God, while we continue to live. Not as a concept of God, not an idea, but an actuality, a living presence, which is God. So this is the truth. And to come in the company of this truth, in the Sang of this Sat, is Satsang. That besides this play of light and sound, there is God. And this God is not just notional or a feel-good idea, or in some cases, like you were saying, the punishing or the feel-bad idea. Neither the feel-good idea nor the feel-bad idea, but a living presence, which is a window into an unlimited reality called God. So to come to Satsang is to come into God's light, to come into God's presence. Therefore, one who shares Satsang is one who is living like this. It is a living truth for that one. And because it is a living truth for that one, that is why we call that one the Guru. The Guru is not a spiritual teacher who can take spiritual discourses and have spiritual conversations. Guru is one who has found that truth for themselves. And this truth, like any truth that you discover, then becomes infectious. So anybody who makes a great discovery then wants to spread it. No? They want to publish papers about it, say this is how it works. They want to spread that truth. So once it is found that actually there is a God which can be found, and it can be found in the most direct way as a living presence within ourselves, then those who come to this discovery usually are open to sharing it or feeling to spread this. So this truth is what we come for when we come to Satsang. We may not even realize it. A heart longing brings us to Satsang, but many times we just don't know why we come. And then when asked, we may say, because I've had a lot of suffering, or there's some problem in my relationship, or there's some problem in my money, or some problem in my body. Usually these kind of reasoning we have in our heads as a reason, because we may need a reason for everything at the moment. But really, to come to satsang like this is to meet God in your heart as a living reality, as a living presence. And those who have had this grace, they will tell you that life without this grace is not worth living. What is funny is that many who are spiritual or come to satsang still don't live as if God is a reality. They give reality to me, the notion of me, which is the ego, and to this world appearance. And God is just like a fallback option sometimes when we are in big trouble. Then we say, yes, God help me. But even those in spirituality don't really consider God to be real. They still consider the world to be more real. That is why in Vedanta the first thing is that we are told that all perceptions, they come and go. And that which comes and goes is not real. Find that which does not come and go. But most Vedantins also don't follow this. They are busy learning more and more, building the spiritual encyclopedia in their heads, rather than coming to that true insight of the one that is found when we go beyond perceptions. So the first question is God a reality? Is God a reality? Yes or no? Not rhetorical.
Yes.
God is a reality. Now, this conclusion that God is a reality is coming notionally because we have a concept of God, or is that your living experience? So, to put simply, rather than academically, have you met God? So, if you haven't met God, then that must become your primary project in life. Because all the ones who have met God will tell you that without this holy meeting, this life is a zombie life. This life is a life of flesh and bones and blood. Without meeting God, this life is a roller coaster of ephemeral joy, with strong oppression through the mind and suffering. And nothing is worth anything in this world without God. True love is love when God is involved. All unconditional love is love for God. Joy is joy in God's presence. Not the seeming joy because we rile ourselves so much in a desire and then that desire gets fulfilled and that knot gets opened up, we feel a sense of relief and we call that joy. That is not joy. That is just relief from the desire. And how long does it last? So, you wanted a Ferrari, really like, my life is sorted. I'll be the happiest person. I can die easily if I had a Ferrari. Huh? And you get the Ferrari, very happy. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you've taken the photos, you posted them to Instagram, you've done everything. Then, oh, my driver, he scratched the Ferrari, so I'll have to drive it. Oh, something. So newer worries, newer concern. How long is that? You thought that your life will be sorted. Instead, you picked up another set of worries. There is no joy in things like this. Joy, true love is to find the source of it within you. Who is the source of it within you? And what are we doing? We are trying to use God to get our other stuff. Oh God, please help me with this. Oh God, help me get this. Oh God, help me win this contract. Help me get into this relationship. So we are using that which is the source of love and joy to give us things which will ultimately lead to more problems. Not that there is inherently anything wrong with things, but attachment, grasping, always leads to suffering. Things can be around, it's okay. But if God is the true source of love and joy and peace, nobody says, give me a Ferrari so I can be closer to God. No, in a way, well, they want to become like God. They want the ego to become big and everybody to bow down to them like God. But that is the misplaced, upside down way of functioning in this world. Because for most, God is not a reality. If God was real, how would we live? If God is real and sitting in this room right now, how would we be? If Ram, Krishna, Jesus were right here, so this hand, how much reality do you give to it as it appears in front of you? You have to give God more reality than that. But we don't do it. We'll come to the mechanics of what I mean by give reality. So we all may understand that Maya is a big thug. Sorry about the colloquial translation. But Maya Mahathagni. What are they trying to say? This realm of perception is conning you away from your reality, which is God's light and God's presence. How real is God for you now? Your mind will attack. It will say, I don't think like this, I don't believe like this. You can keep doing this and then die. Living as if there is some great importance to your thoughts and beliefs. Nobody cares about what you think, and neither should you. That's very important. The sooner we recognize this, the better off we'll be. Otherwise, like most people in the world, you're trying to convince others about your belief systems and value systems. But they themselves are constantly changing. Don't play this game, it's a losing game. You come to Satsang to come to the company of the truth. This truth is capital T. That means unchanging truth. That which is unchanging is God. Otherwise, you tell me that, okay, Ananta, I want to spend the next 5 years taking myself to be a meat bucket. Just allow me that, then I'll come back after that. It's fine. I don't force anyone to come. You're entitled to take yourself to be what you want. God has given us this freedom. But if your heart is yearning for a greater truth, for a truer reality, if the words of the sages carry a fragrance for you, they seem to ring true somewhere, and you're willing to let go of selfishness, you're willing to let go of being right, to make this discovery, which is the only meaningful discovery we can make in this life, then I'm fully here to serve you and to serve that. The ego is the idea that I can make myself a winner in spite of God. You see, the idea of winning exclusive or in exclusion to God is called ego. Nobody wants to be a me and lose. No? You're trying to be a me so that you can win at something, whatever the idea of winning may be. They're just like grasping at thin air. Our attempts to construct ourselves into somebody are always futile. That's why we end up doing stupid things like naming buildings in our name, naming things in our name, so that our name can live on even though the body may die. Whose name? It is grasping at straws. So that call which brought you to Satsang, That call is your heart calling, is your heart compass, navigating you away from this upside down world into a reality which is beyond birth and death, beyond the states of waking, sleep, dream, and turiya. Suppose for a moment that you feel that everything that I have said so far is true. God is the only discovery worth making. To live in God's presence and God's light is the only way to live. Suppose you take this to be true, then your question should be, okay, I take what you say to be true, but how do I find God? How do I find God? Can you show me God? Is the popular question that Vivekananda asked Sri Ramakrishna as well. Can you show me God? So, the easy answer is yes, of course. Can you stop being? Can you recognize that the presence, the beingness within you, within yourself, is God's presence? And therefore the window into the ultimate reality of God. That is the easy answer. But usually it is not as straightforward as that. What gets in the way? Who's guarding this door that blocks you? That is the ego. In what form? Self-concern. Oh, what about me? What's going to happen to me? And self-will. What do I want? I don't want this. What if I surrender to God and God makes this happen? I don't want that surrender. So let's combine self-concern and self-importance into self-concern. Self-importance is simple. I am somebody. I am somebody, which is not true. Concern about that nobody is called self-concern. And the ramblings and rantings of the mind, which has really no true insight into life, especially in the form of wanting, is self-will. We should say individual importance, individual concern, and individual will. So these are the guards which are guarding the door. So when I ask you, can you stop being? Meet your being right now. They will come. How should I do it? Is this the right way? Am I ready? What's going to happen? You see? All these are variations, and you could have hundreds of them, which will just seem to block the simplest discovery. So to paraphrase Guruji's one beautiful Satsang, I'll paraphrase it. So if I said to you, hold this hand right now, and you're free, but your mind will come and say, should I hold his hand? Will I be alright after that? Will I get a electric shock? Has he washed his hands? You see all this. You want to determine what is good or right for yourself. And this determination for yourself, just trying to live on your own terms, is the original sin. There's no other sin. It's not that scary notion, no, all this stuff. It's just my way when God is available. If God's will was available to you, if God's glory was available to you, if God's light was available to you, God's presence was here, how much time would you spend on me? Me, the ego. You see, so this self-importance, self-concern and self-will, they got this door, they got this question. When I ask you, can you stop being? What is needed is for you to be empty with that question. So to be empty for God, and I've defined what you have to be empty of, is the way to come to God. So another way of defining Satsang is where we come to learn how to be empty for God. Because unless we are empty, if the cup is full, then it is not possible for God's light to be apparent to us. If you're too full of me, all talk about God will remain just talk. My father left his body a few months ago, just before we met in February. And he'd been to a few satsangs, he'd been to many masters. You ask him about them, he'll say, "Oh, I went to Swami Chinmayananda. He's very good. He said, I don't lie because I don't have to remember what I said last time. And I went to this guru and he said like that. And I went to here and he said like that." Where's God? So don't come to satsang to collect more concepts, more ideas that your spiritual ego will enjoy. Oh, I know this. This is what Advaita is. This is what Nirguna Brahman is. This is what Saguna is. This is what Chidavilas is. You'll have a lot of definitions. But are you authentically coming to a true darshan of God? And this thing is becoming very, very clear to me, and this message is coming from everywhere to me, that अवसर बार बार नहीं आवे. The opportunity to make the discovery may not come over and over and over again. I was hearing this bhajan by Kabirji, and then in my father-in-law's ceremony in the Gurudwara, we played a different variation of kirtan of this. The opportunity does not come again and again. How do we know what tomorrow will bring? But today you can find God. It's a matter of utmost urgency and importance. And having had the darshan of death so closely over the last few months, I can tell you that nobody is really ready for it. My father did not feel like that's his last day. My father-in-law did not feel like that's his last day. So today is the day where we must dedicate our life to the discovery of that which is beyond birth and death. My father-in-law said only the second bhajan, the second kirtan they sang in Punjabi was roughly translated saying, "एक बार माफ कर दो that I did not remember you in this life." And the remember is not just a mere remembrance. Remember is a true meeting, a true discovery. And they just presume. The Ragis in the Gurdwara didn't say, "Oh, was this man, you see, someone who had realized God in his life?" They just presume because nobody does it. You see, so they're already asking for forgiveness. Because that is the way this story is going for most of us. And they were right. They're not wrong. So now grace has given us an opportunity. You're meeting someone who can tell you from direct experience that God is there within you. Like God is here right now. Now it is for you to decide whether this one is a deluded, mad one, or liar, con artist, or there is a window to your own self-realization, God realization by coming to Satsang. When this one's body goes, how many of his Sangha would have met God and lived in God? I cannot say. Because as your teacher, I can bless you, I can pray for you, I can guide you. But I don't have the power to compel you, and I don't have the power to compel God's light to reveal itself to you. Only God Himself can do that. And that is the difference between an avatar and a sage. A teacher can only guide, a teacher can bless and pray, a teacher can direct from direct experience. The teacher cannot compel God's light, God's Atma to reveal itself to you. So your job is to be empty of the limited self. I talked about empty of self-concern, self-importance and self-will. How to be empty of these. How to pick up one of these. Everyone together so far? Everyone's together. So far we've talked about God's reality and how to lead a life without God's light, God's presence truly and not just notionally or conceptually is not a life worth living. And we've talked about how it is important to live in God's light. It is important to be empty of the false self. Because as the sages have told us, the lane is too narrow. There cannot be God and me. If there is God, there is no me. If there is me, there is no God. And what do we have to be empty of? What gives rise to this me? Self-importance. I am somebody. How do we pick up this? So now I'm introducing you to the actual Mahabharata, the actual battleground. The actual battleground is happening here. You see? And this happens moment to moment. So this is the fruit of everything that I've said so far. Why it is important to say that is because it's not for you. It is not to make you special, not to make you into somebody, but it is for God's light to be spread. So, what is the battleground? How do we remain empty? So, if the me is the notion that I am something, I am somebody, how do you pick that notion up? Right now, are you somebody? Right now? Are you somebody? It'll take you a moment even to remember your name. I will tell you, you've forgotten your name. You will say, no, I remember. You need that time to be that somebody. So, how do you become that somebody? The mechanics of this are very simple. But the thing is that in the proposals from the mind, it will always tell you the problem is somewhere else. Problem is in your job, problem is in your relationship, it is in the state of the world, it is somewhere else. You see? So its main job is to deflect. You see? So what is the real problem? You're fine right now. You're empty, naturally. Empty. Then a thought comes. It says, this is true. It gives you a version of reality. It doesn't say what I'm saying is false. It says, it is like this. Things are like this. This is like that. He is like this. My partner is like this. This one. It's always proposing some idea. You see? But can it even determine what one moment is like? So if I tell you, what is this? What is this? Right now, what is this? You see, so you may come up with a notion saying, I have the truth. This is Satsang with Ananta, and there are 20 something of us in this room. And that insipid, lightless, lifeless version of this we take to be real. In that, all light is gone, all presence is gone, anything valuable is gone, love is gone. So we lead our lives on the basis of these narratives, which are very primitive. What happens if you don't lead your life on the basis of these narratives? If you remain empty, how to fill yourself? Attention and belief. Attention gives light to a perception. Your belief gives it truth value. Okay? So a thought may come in your head. I want to go and see the next Olympics. And if you give it belief, it becomes a belief. You see, it becomes a desire. It becomes part of your persona. You become somebody who wants to see the next Olympics. This is only what vasanas are. These are what conditions are. It's not complicated. You see? So your personality now becomes somebody who wants to see the Olympics. You say, okay, who want to see the Olympics, you become part of that group. So just like that, your persona is just built up of all of these individual ideas. To be empty of your conditioning only means to let it come and let it go. So even if your attention goes to it, because that takes a Mahayogi to avoid all attention going to all thought, but even if your attention goes to it, let the thoughts be like visitors. Let them come and let them go. Don't serve them tea. Famous Zen pointer. This is how you remain empty. Now the but will start. The buts, but I can't let go. Some thoughts are too compelling. Okay? Then pray, then meditate, then do the Atma Darshan Samadhi. So many beautiful practices. Chant, sing a bhajan, become humble. In response to the but I cannot be empty, all these modalities of practices and sadhanas have been made available to us. That which makes you empty, pick that and do it. You can inquire, who am I? You can surrender everything to God. You can pray using your breath. You can be anchored in the presence of unconditional love in your heart. There are so many tactics to checkmate the mind which have been made available to us. Okay? But for any of them to work, humility is very important. If you're humble, even the simplest practice will work. If you're special, the highest practice from the highest sage will not work. Admit that in God's light compared to God's presence, You are nobody, we are nobody. Don't be quick to proclaim that you are God. Of course, you are recognizing that which remains of me, let that me always be a servant of God. The recognition takes care of most of you anyway. That little remnant of me that remains, and it remains for everyone, including the higher sages. Let that remnant of me remain as a servant of God, a beggar at God's feet. Never take yourself to be anything special. And those, especially in the path of Jnana Yoga like this, should never take themselves to be very smart. It is not that kind of Gyan that this yoga is about. It is heart insights, the insights from the Satguru presence within us. That is Gyan, not what we think we know. So humility is very important. That will lead to faith, that will lead to compassion, kindness, love. So that we can be empty for God. And you can call that just being, or open and empty, or in the unborn mind, whatever words you want to use, in the no mind. It's all the same thing. And don't rush. Remain empty, but don't become impatient. Hey, this is not working for me, or this, me. Don't rush. When you are rushing, know that it is the mind. The heart is all the time in the world. It is never rushing. The ego wants to grasp at things fast. So, now that, suppose all of you have heard this and now you are empty for God. Through what instrument will you recognize God? Are you looking for a spiritual experience? Are you looking for some special discovery? How will you know? Suppose you met God, how will you know? Because already we said that which you perceive comes and goes is not real. So, through the same instrument that you recognize unconditional love, not the feeling of love, not the lovey dovey feeling, that which is apparent in your heart but doesn't have to have a feeling. Through what do you recognize the limitlessness of your being? Through what do you recognize that which is aware of all perceptions, but it itself cannot be perceived? That is intuitive insight, that is the Satguru presence. And that is the realization and the recognition of the highest. You cannot do it as a perception, although God's presence does have a perceptual quality like a primordial vibration, and that can be met in the lightest, subtlest way. But even this insight is mostly intuitive and 1% vibrational. So that's it. That's all of spirituality. That's the lay of the land. There are a few important side notes. One of them is that don't confuse spirituality to be a very convenient self-help type thing. If faith sometimes doesn't feel like it's squeezing your throat, then it's not faith at all. If it always seems easy, so spirituality is to risk it all. Risk it all for that which is beyond perception. So your mind will never agree to such an endeavor. It will agree to endeavors of spiritual experiences, feel good ideas, better quality of life. All of those it will agree to. But that which it cannot fathom at all. So don't expect your mind to be an ally in this. It will press all your buttons. So to live for God is the simplest and the most difficult thing you will do. Simplest at one level. The emptier you are, the simpler it is. And if there's the tiniest egotism there, it will seem difficult. You see, even open and empty, it is the simplest instruction. It is the most difficult instruction. Because if there is somebody being open and empty, it's the most difficult. Actually, it's just. These are subtle things which will become clearer in Satsang. Most of us would have read books like The Power of Now. You realized maybe decades ago that all I have to do is live in the present. No problem. But how many are doing it? Nobody. Because the trier itself is the problem. The one who's trying to be in the now doesn't let you be in the now. All of us have heard in Satsang, all you have to do is just be. Just be. Simple. But nobody is doing it. Why? Because the posture of just being is not just being.
It's just
Huh?
it's not being.
Not being. Yes. Yeah. And that is why it requires tremendous faith to let go. In faith is a different quality. Faith is not just amplified belief. Oh, I believe it and I believe it and I believe it so much it becomes faith. No, it's not that. Belief is to your notions. You can believe your ideas or others' ideas which you heard. Faith is to trust your intuition, your intuitive insights, which may be unperceivable, more than this entire drama of perception. So to have faith in your heart, even especially when the mind comes and scares you, but you will lose everything in life, you will become a beggar on the streets, you will be left with nothing. No mind will come and scare you about this. But to have faith in God, to have faith in the Master, to have faith in your heart calling, to have faith that in that which is beyond rationality is a different quality than belief. See, and it takes faith to live like a inner sadhu. Because the outer sadhudom and kingdom is not important. Naturally. Like in Satsang, it doesn't matter at all whether you're a beggar or you're a king. It is your inner sadhudam that is important. How empty are you of your ego? That is important. one day I'll be able to communicate better the immensity of God, whose presence is alive within you. I don't find the words to describe Him. May God find a way to communicate this, because in the hearing of the fact that God's presence is available to be discovered by you in this waking state should make everything else seem tiny in comparison. Because I'm talking about the one God. So as I started by saying, is this hand more real or is God more real? Is your own hand more real or is God more real? And it's not a question of mere belief. Until we don't start living in a way that way of true insight and to value that with our faith, then we'll still be caught up in this play of Maya, where all this is just lip service. But when push comes to shove, God can wait. Is any part of what I've said not clear, or you want me to explain it in some other way? This should be the no excuses satsang. After this, there should be no excuse. The how is clear, the why is clear, the when is clear. What are the 5 questions you're meant to answer? Who is clear? How and where is clear? Yes or no? If any of them is not clear, ask. Questions. Were you all this quiet before I went to sleep?
I experienced something very deeply, and that was when you mentioned the power of now. But this came like very understanding that I cannot be in the now. I can never be in the now, and that now is only possible in that space. That is possible, that itself is now. And then it is so very, very deeply restful to be in the now. And so much so that that itself seems to be like a lot has moved in me with this, because I feel like my going back into the thing is like, yeah, automatic. I don't know what, something. I'm not sort of pulled into it. Um, because it's like almost like no thank you. You know, because it's like knowing that there's just no possibility of really enjoying a single moment as is.
Yeah. So, what you're saying is that there is no I or me that can be in the now. Whatever content of this world appearance that we may say is happening now just happens within my being.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that it is, you're talking about what, your being so intimidating in a sense that you don't want to be pulled into it, or the mind being, you don't
No,
want to
not
be pulled
intimidating, but no attraction to go into that story.
into the story. Yes.
Because there is no now there, and in that I cannot say I must be in the now. When
Yeah,
it starts bugging me, like, hey, enough is enough, I will now sit and I
Yes,
will be in the now. But
yes.
I cannot.
Yeah.
And it was
It's very good.
जैसे मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगी, जैसे कि अभी हम सब सत्संग में बैठे हुए हैं, तो पहली बार मुझे मौका मिला है सुंदर सत्संग में आने के लिए, इसलिए आई फॉलो माई सत्संग। अभी जो मैं बैठी और आपकी बातें सुनी कि गॉड का प्रेजेंस, और आई कुड फील यस, वही याद रखना है कि यस यहाँ पे है, भगवान हमारे अंदर में ही है। तो बहुत अच्छा लगा। और वो जो एम्प्टीनेस आपने कहा, एम्प्टी होना वो ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाता है जब सत्संग में बैठते हैं, लेकिन जब घर पे जाते हैं, जब संसार में वो माया में, तो उसको प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए हमें वही याद रखना है ना कि प्रेजेंस ऑफ गॉड वो भर जाता है, बार बार वो कप भर जाता है, उसको खाली करना होता है। तो कैसे?
Very. I'm so happy firstly that आपने बहुत ध्यान से सुना है मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, तो thank you for that. How do we do this to remain empty for God? How do you become full? Is by buying into a thought. Thought आ रही है, वो बोल रही है हाँ ये अच्छा है, ये बुरा है, ये करो, ये मत करो, वो सब बोल रहे हैं। तो अगर उसको हम बस जाने देंगे तो कुछ नहीं होता, और उसको अगर हम पकड़ लेंगे कि हाँ ये सच्चाई है, तब वो हमारा इंडिविजुअलिटी का पार्ट बन जाता है, becomes a part of our persona. That is the ego. है ना? तो सबसे आसान करना ये है कि हमें दूर जाने दो। अगर वो अभी थोड़ा मुश्किल लगता है तो एक वीडियो है हमारा आत्मदर्शन समाधि, तो उसको भी ट्राई कर सकते हैं। उसमें पूरा मैंने सब एक्सप्लेन किया है कि कैसे हम इसमें आ सकते हैं कि हमें अपनी आत्मा के दर्शन हो, उसी में रहें। तो उसको भी देख सकते हैं आप कि और कोई उसमें क्वेश्चन हो या डाउट हो तो मुझे पूछ लीजिए, तो वैसे भी कर सकते हैं। आप अभी कौन सी प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं इससे पहले?
जैसे कि अभी मेडिटेशन करती हूँ, तो उसमें हमें 4 क्रिया बताई गई है कि मानस जप, फिर मानस ध्यान, फिर दृष्टि योग, एंड देन आत्मसंधान, शब्द साधना।
साउंड लाइक द आत्मदर्शन।
जैसे 4 स्टेप्स बताए गए, तो अभी हम लोग उसी स्टेज में, अभी तो सिर्फ तैयारी में है। जैसे 4 अवस्था होती है कि जागृत, स्वप्न, सुषुप्ति एंड तुरिया अवस्था, एंड देन तुरियातीत, जो आपने कहा कि साइलेंस में एकदम पूरा एम्प्टी हो जाना। तो इट्स वेरी फान एक्चुअली। तो उसी के लिए, प्रैक्टिस के लिए हमेशा उस मानस जप को करना। थॉट्स आते हैं, उसको हटाने के लिए मानस जप दिया गया है कि एक शब्द में अपने आप को रखो, बार बार जो भी थॉट्स आते तो आई कुड मैं कर सकती हूँ फिर उसको जब सदगुरु के उस जाप को करते करते फिर जाप मतलब अपने गुरु का आह्वान करना कि आप मेरे पास हो, तो उनका मानस ध्यान वो अपने आप आ जाते हैं, मैं हूँ ना तेरे साथ, अगेन आई बिकम एम्प्टी। तो इस तरह से वो स्टेप बाय स्टेप आई गो इन मेडिटेशन, तो आई हैव टू प्रैक्टिस ईच एंड एवरी मोमेंट जो आपने बताया अभी कि एम्प्टी हो जाना बस, और कुछ नहीं है फिर, इतना आसान है सब कुछ, इतना सरल है ये, लेकिन बस आज बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे यहाँ के, बहुत अच्छा है।
कहाँ है आपके गुरुजी?
लाइक अभी तो हमारे सबके साथ ही बैठे हैं, मतलब अभी स्थूल शरीर भी नहीं है, तो ही इज फ्रॉम भागलपुर कुपाघाट, महर्षि नहीं परमहंस जी महाराज, ये फॉलो फ्रॉम बचपन से मिले हैं साथ में, तो उनके साथ ही हर पल अनुभव करते हैं कि साथ में आपके रूप में कैसे कैसे आ जाते हैं।
जैसे हम एक्सपीरियंस करने के लिए, अनुभव करने के लिए अपने सेंसेस का प्रयोग करते हैं, साइट, स्मेल, टेस्ट, टच, हियरिंग, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स, तो उसको हम अनुभव कहते हैं। और हम जब कभी कुछ सोचते हैं, अच्छा ऐसा है वैसा है, तो उससे हम कुछ जान पाते हैं, हमें ये लगता है। तो इन दोनों के अलावा वो कौन सा तरीका है जिससे हम भगवान को ढूंढ सकते हैं या सतगुरु के प्रेजेंस में रह सकते हैं? इन दोनों के परे ही होगा ना? Beyond perception and beyond thought, intuitive insight or Satguru presence, इसलिए तो से गुरु का है, the bringer of light is not this kind of light. This kind of light. It is the light in which the unperceivable can be known. जो प्रत्यक्ष नहीं है, in an objective way, right Hindi for that. हाँ, वस्तु की तरह अनुभव नहीं हो सकता, तो ऐसी लाइट की जरूरत है जिसमें वो उसका पता चले हमें, है ना? क्योंकि दुनिया में ये सब लाइट तो बहुत है, सन भी है, सब जो देखने का है दिख सकता है, पर कुछ अलग लाइट होती है जो गुरु होते हैं, जिसमें हम जो ना दिखाई, जो कभी दिखाई नहीं दे सकता, उसका परिचय हमसे वो ही मिला सकते हैं, फिर गुरु ही मिला सकते हैं।
सदगुरु की आवश्यकता होती है,
सदगुरु की आवश्यकता,
उसी लाइट को पाने के लिए शरीर मिला है, सदगुरु का प्रैक्टिस।
और क्या? What is it?
Recently we were talking about how it's a living God, no? Using the
It's a
word
living,
living.
it's a living being.
Can you share more?
Yes, I'm just trying to counter this idea of like there's a like a
Scientific.
like a force of nature or something, no? Like there's consciousness, there is awareness. You see, it's like we're looking at a map and we're saying, okay, there's Pacific Ocean, there's Asia, there's, we're looking at this thing. So we become very intellectual in our approach. We feel like, oh, I understood now. This is consciousness, and this is awareness, and that is the absolute reality within. So it becomes very like a framework. But I want to tell you that God is not just some mere discovery that we are making and saying, okay, that is consciousness, but beyond that is the highest, which is awareness, like that. You see, this God is the only living being. Life itself comes from this. Aliveness itself comes from this. So we must not just, acha, this is conscious. You see, it's like, and in that way, representations like Ram, Krishna, Jesus are helpful because we don't know, acha, Ram, okay, beyond that is if Ram is there, you'll meet Ram. No? You'll want to sit at his feet, you'll want to be guided by him, you'll want to surrender to him. So God is that of which these are aspects. Even the greatest gods that we can conceptualize and imagine are just aspects of that. That is the being within you. It's a living being. I don't want to say, like in the Christians, they use this word personal God. It's a personal God, but that in Advaita will become very confusing as to what they're trying to say is that he can be met, he can be related to, he can be loved, is it? He can be prayed to. It's not like what would be a good example, like a cloud or something which is very holy. It's not like that. It's an actual living being from which all of this arises.
It seems a bit like no qualities but still living.
Exactly. Like living, life is an aspect of it. Life is an aspect of it, and that is the easiest aspect of it that we can get a handle on in some sense. Because without the presence of God, God's discovery would be, I don't know how. The presence itself is God's grace. Because in this world so full of form, to meet God without the primordial vibration of presence would seem just theoretical. I don't even know if there would be a notion of God in this world if the presence was not there. But what happens is whoever's dug deeply into themselves and with the quest to try and find the truth, whether they are philosophers or they are spiritualists or they were anyone who undertakes a serious quest comes to this presence of God within themselves.
That day when you're talking about this, I perceive it, it does not perceive me. Do you mean that is life, that perceiving, or is it just a part of a bigger life?
Yes, if we are saying that I am aware of the world is not aware of me, then I may even say for this presence that I am aware of this presence, and this presence is not aware of me because I am that awareness itself. But when it comes to perception, everything is perceived by the living being. It is the presence which is the light of perception. It uses attention to perceive. So what is the distinction between perception and awareness?
one step
Both come.
behind.
Yes, but what is the difference?
Akar and Nirakar. Perception.
In a way, but we are saying that awareness is a mode of knowledge and perception is a mode of knowledge, but what is the distinction between them?
Duality, non-duality.
In a way. So there's actually no such thing as perception. Like it is just a term that we use to encapsulate sight, smell, taste, touch, memory, imagination, everything that is quantitative or qualitative, that can be known in that way, is called perception. But awareness is not an abstraction of something else. It's not an amalgamation of something. We are aware of sight, we are aware of taste, we are aware of touch. So suppose the word perception was not there, then you'd have to individually say, no, that you're seeing it, or you're hearing it, or you're touching it, or tasting it. You see? But you're aware of the seeing, taste, touch, smell. So although perception is a word that we use to describe these things, you see, awareness is not a word that we use to describe some other things. It is just aware. You're aware of sight, but you're not sighting awareness. How to say? Like you're aware of hearing, but you're not hearing awareness.
It's like you can only be, you can't see being or touch being.
Something. So,
You know.
so, an awareness is not like a master term for a set of different things. That is perception.
Is that what you're calling life also? That awareness? Is that what you're calling life? Like living?
Usually, what I call life is the arising of beingness within this awareness. If I have started calling it, it's a living being, is so that, if there was a living being inside you, would you just be like, हाँ होगा, चलेगा, चलता है? You want to know who it is, no? It's not an inanimate thing like, oh, you have a kidney, you have a liver, or two kidneys and liver, all that. There's God also there. It's not like that. It's a living being. It's a living presence that can be met. It is the most intelligent, the highest. And these are not just words, it's a reality. If somebody came and told you woke up tomorrow and a very credible Jyotish or somebody told you that today Ram's presence will be within you. Yeah. Will you say, it's fine, let me send my emails and let me reply to my phones and things? You won't say, Ram's presence. So that one, the same one is within you. And this blocking, this blinding is called Maya. See, so all of this is just a blinding mechanism. Blinding us from the true reality. But once it is met from here, then it becomes a Chidvilasa, the play of consciousness. Before the Chid is discovered, it's a blinding light. And not in a good way. That's why Vedanta 101 is what? Let go of all things that you can perceive.
The blinding is to be under the hypnosis.
Exactly. It's like, I'm telling you, God is here. And it's like that joke of Vasu. This joke. So Vasu we met in Satsang like this. And I could see the transmission is happening. He is really coming to the discovery. And then Ram is saying, please have a samosa, have a samosa. So that's how you know the Buddha was being born, but you distracted him with the samosa. But what is that distracting ability? Is this? You see, I'm telling you, God lives here. But if Hrithik Roshan walks into the room, you forget about God being here. No? You'll say, whoever is your favorite. So we give more reality to this than to what's inside you. Not inside your body, but inside yourself. Inside the Nirguna Brahman that is your absolute reality. So it can seem very simple to say, give more reality to that which is unperceivable. Vedanta basic is that. Even in the Bible it is said that value that which is invisible. So, but do we really? So I was talking to Trishna who had come for the funeral there as well. And she's been in the mission for so long, and she's the very senior position in the ashram and things like that. So we have these beautiful chats. So for her, it came from my mouth that the palm of your hand, you give God more reality than that, and that much is enough. But you do. This is the blinding light of Maya. This is the Leela. The living God is inside you. Don't leave it till too late. And I've seen that, like all these people say, that if in the last moment of your life you remember God, then you will find a place at His feet. But I've seen that unless you've lived a life of devotion to God, you don't remember God in your last moment. It's not a cheat code that you just use. Last moment. Whatever you valued in your life the most, that is what you will remember. Same thing happened with my father-in-law as well. I won't get into the specifics of it, but he was a very deeply religious man. But in his last moments, there were other things that he had valued more. So don't leave it till the end.
There are other things that is there a lot of fear of death? If there are these other things,
Yes.
is there always a fear then of death?
Yes.
There is.
Yes. Yes. Most humans spend their life in avoidance of even the thought of death. In most gatherings, if you mention death or something, it is like a taboo topic. Talk about death. Nobody wants, but it's coming, and what is happening is that we spend our life just avoiding the fact that it's coming. How much is left? It's coming. You see, so if somebody else mentions, you're like, but satsang is to embrace the talk about death, to remind ourselves of this inevitability, of all this that we are busy gathering and working, is all going to turn to dust. It's very important to remember. In fact, they say Bhutan is supposed to be the happiest place in the world. There they practice contemplating death like twice or thrice a day. So that we're holding on tight to. It has to be like this. In the contemplation of death, suppose what you're valuing now is what you'll value in your last moment. Just live like that. That is how you will become full of faith. To value God's light is faith. To value your intuitive insight through the Satguru presence is faith. To value your things that you think you're right about and you think you know and you think you're special, that is just belief. Faith will help you. Belief will make you suffer.
See, these old people, I mean not old but elderly, their favorite thing is to have this bucket list. We go and see this and all before we die. And so I wonder when that on that deathbed, if all this helps, that I saw Machu Picchu and I went on that
Exactly.
whatever. I mean, yeah.
Bucket list should be number one, God. All the sages have implored us for that. Kabirji especially very, very strongly keeps reminding us. Don't waste time, don't waste time. Death is coming. I was crossing the road today to go for my run, or coming back from my run, and a car almost hit me. So I was laughing that so much running and taking care of this body, it could be all done in one second. You can never say there is time left. This does not mean I'm not saying don't take care of your body. I realized the benefit of that because bodily pain, bodily suffering can be a big distraction away from just living in the present. So it's good to keep it healthy, treat it like a temple. It's a nice metaphor. When people say it's a temple of God, it's a nice metaphor. Try just living high on God. You don't have to waste money on substances. All the sages have told us that the diamond is already in your pocket, that you're sitting on treasure and you're begging for food. So many metaphors they use to convince you about God's presence, the most important thing beyond any of this hankering and grasping in the world. This time we heard any of that, any one metaphor. How hard the teachers have tried. How many different ways to explain things and things everybody's trying to tell. But that metaphor of Plato's cave is very true in that way. The one who has been able to escape and find the sun, when he comes back and tries to explain to them that this is our bondage and we can be free, they feel like he is the attacker. So many sages, teachers have been killed in this world for speaking the truth about God.
I have one question. Like in this transition period, it seems to be it's wiser to just not speak about to others anything that one is doing.
We can't determine that.
No.
We have to just live moment to moment from the heart, because what are the possibilities? We could be guided by the heart and we speak about this, and someone turns to God away from the egotism of regular life, or they reject us and they say we are foolish, or they become averse to it. So we can't really say what is, like we can't say, make a blanket statement and say this is how it's always going to be. So just leave it to God to decide how to move this mouth in front of you. Then if it works, quote unquote works, then it's His. If it doesn't work, then it's His. Nothing for us to be concerned about.